you know, construction costs have not gone up by a whole lot. They have gone up over time, you know, but they haven't gone up by hundreds of percentages. You know, they haven't doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Whereas the land value has. You know, land values, like I said, went up from $5 to $10 million up to $35 million in today's market. So what that does is when you look at a pro forma, you know, the real big delta is in land acquisition costs. It's not in the construction costs. That's the delta. So for any of us as developers, you know, our construction costs across the board are going to be virtually the same. There's not going to be a whole lot of, you know, variations in construction costs unless we're talking about different types of construction altogether. You know, like a gypsum build versus a concrete pour, or a podium building versus, you know, a gypsum build or something like that. So those are the types of, you know, variables that you'll see. But if you're talking about an apples to apples comparison where you've got a concrete, poured in place concrete structure like ours is, and 1200 Avenue at Port Imperial, and Evora, and 1000 Avenue, and Glass House, not Glass House, what's the one up top? Cliffside Parks, One Park.
One Park.
Yeah. So if you're looking at all of these types of buildings, the construction costs are virtually the same. There's almost no difference. What you're going to see that really, really differs greatly is the land acquisition costs.
Yeah.
And that's really going to determine now what the sales, you know, price is going to be at the end of it all.
Right.
And so
because it's going to be a wave. That land acquisition cost rolls through first.
That's right.
But then the equity and the units that are on that land rolls through right behind it.
Right. So, and that's why when you look at things and you say, okay, well, if this land is up, you know, 3.5 times now over the last 10 years, then the sales price of those units should also be up 3.5. It's not true. It's going to be up by a significant amount, but because the construction costs and everything else, the overheads and things like that are associated with constructing a building are not up also by 3.5 times, it's only going to be up by a certain amount. There's certain percentages that you're going to see. So for a building like this, which has a huge footprint, huge amenity spaces, and, you know, 40,000 square feet of amenities, you know, this building, you know, you're selling at an average price of about $1.3 million per unit, 1.2 to 1.3. That's our average. In a building in front of us with that acquisition cost, you're going to be looking at homes at 1.6 to 1.7 million dollars. You're going to be looking at an average blend on $1 per square foot of about $1,300 and change, $1,300 to $1,400. We're at $9. So that's almost.
So you're saying now.
We're at 900 in this building.
Now it should be at 1,300.
Their building. So the building in front of us.
In the future it will be.
And the building in front of us is going to be selling somewhere between $1,300 and $1,400 a square foot, just to make their numbers.
Yeah.
And that's all because of the acquisitions. That's all because the land acquisition
Right,
costs are so high.
And you got it soon enough that it can be 900.
It's crazy.
So that
really
$400 delta.
Yeah, that's
Huge.
like a 40% increase in price.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people ask me, okay, are you concerned about what's going to happen to that building in front of you when it comes? Is that going to hurt your values? And I say, absolutely not.
No.
You've got a smaller building with less amenities that is going to be selling at 40 to 45% more than we are, with a tax structure that's not going to be what we got.
Yeah.
They're going to be at 2%.
Well, and that have
So,
not personally, the first condo that we bought when we moved to New Jersey had a new building built right next to it. Same exact problem for them, not for us.
Right.
We saw a 50% gain in our property values in 2 years because of those comps. They had to sell for what they sold for, but this area has some limited supply. And we sold 2 years later for 50% more. Then we took that, we moved, we tried to find the next condo in another building that was going to be in a similar situation.
That's true.
And we did that. We bought it about a year ago. We've got a new building going up next door now. That building's going to, we're looking for 50 or.
wow.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's exactly
yeah.
what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's just that that's happened on a smaller scale, but exactly the same thing. Land acquisition costs, inventory, inventory in a limited area.
Right.
And that's one of the key factors here is that we
unlimited
are
area.
right on the water, and there's only so much right here on the water.
Absolutely.
So Port Imperial is awesome.
Yeah.
This is like a cool little meeting after the meeting.
Yeah. I just
Sometimes
wish
the meeting is
that
there.
we had come to market 2 years later. That's what I wish. I wish that we built this building 2 years later.
Like
if
you
we did,
After you
bought
bought
the
the
land,
land.
you
Yeah.
waited,
yeah.
then built it.
No, we've owned the land for a long time. We've mothballed it forever. You
Oh,
know,
really?
we had this during the
But
downturn.
who knew? Who knew this
Yeah,
was gonna
and so
be
that
the
was
way
the
it is?
problem, is that we had
Wow.
this, we were sitting on this land for
That's
so
so
long that
long.
once the market turned for us, we decided, okay, now let's build it. And we built it, and we're doing well. It's profitable. It's a great building. It's a huge revenue generator for our division.
Mhm.
But if we had waited 2 years, we probably would be 20% higher.
Yeah.
We'd probably sell this 20% more.
But that
So-
benefit is the buyer's benefit now.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's really where the value proposition is
Yeah.
now. You know,
Right,
that's,
which
there's
is
so
why
much value for buyers
it's
right now
very
coming in.
expensive, yeah.
And so, I mean, the other thing is when you look at the tax structure that we have here, it is phenomenal what a really, really good tax structure can do for you. So if you look in Jersey City, just kind of as a case study, you've got the Crystal Point building and you've got 77 Hudson. 77 Hudson we built.
Mhm.
We built
Great
that.
building.
Great building. Back in
Great
2010, we built it, and we're very successful selling that building out. The current residents of that building are experiencing almost a 80 to 90% increase in value. So not just 50%, they're almost doubling up on their money.
Wow.
You bought a $750,000 two-bedroom, you're selling it at 1.6 million in today's market.
Mhm.
So certain homes more than doubled. In other homes, you are at 70, 80% increase in value. Now you compare that to Crystal Point. Crystal Point had a better tax structure than 77 Hudson had. That same $750,000 two-bedroom unit at Crystal Point
Mhm.
is now selling at $2 million in today's market. And
Wow.
that's simply because they had a better tax program than our
Well,
building.
it makes a difference to your bottom line.
Absolutely.
We had a few calls. He was like, "Don't call me again, okay?" Are you sure?
$2 million, are you sure?
I think it's going to be a long time before that's going to. We get through this and then the market goes up. I still think it's going to be a while before you get to $2 million.
Sure.
But he's like, "Nope, I'm keeping it."
What's really impressive also about this building is that we were able to achieve the third highest dollar per square foot in the state of New Jersey for condo construction. And so we've sold a unit here for $15.35 a square, which
Wow.
is phenomenal. The highest is actually in our old buildings in 77 Hudson.
77 Hudson.
Yeah, it is. So
Is that the penthouse unit
It
on
is.
the point of the
yeah, that's the one.
Stingray unit?
It's like $1,625 a square for that
Mhm.
particular home. And then number 2 would be over at Crystal Point, and then 3 was here. And now that 99 Hudson is coming to market, as soon as those units start to close, they'll all blow them all
Yeah.
out of the water. But for now, we have
Yeah.
the third highest, which is pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. And so we're excited about that. We're excited about a couple of the other homes that we have on the market now. That once we sell those, we'll be at $1,300, $1,400 a square foot on a couple of those as well. So it'll be nice. The views are they're incredible. They really are. If you're on the
Yeah.
penthouse level, the 12th floor of this building,
Yeah.
looking at New York City, it is just it's just breathtaking. It's really tough to beat that. I get used to it. I mean, I see it all the time, but I still never get bored of it. It really is. It's phenomenal.
No, you
Sometimes
don't.
you're
That's-
looking out the window, it looks like a postcard.
Yeah.
It does.
It's
Better.
incredible. Yeah.
Well, we've always, since we moved here, we've always had a view of the city like that.
Oh, phenomenal.
And I have clients, we'll go out shopping with clients. I have a great pair of clients that I'm trying to get here right now.
Mhm.
And the husband says, "Oh, we'll just get tired of the view and not pay any attention to it after a while." And the wife's saying, "I don't think so." And usually he and I tend to agree on quite a bit.
Mhm.
But that's the one thing where I'm like, "No, I don't think so."
No.
I'm
You never
3
get
years.
bored of it.
I'm 3 years in, and I don't get tired of it. And my
Right.
wife, every night when we get home, we have a balcony that's a little bit like this, not quite this nice. And she'll walk right past our front door, out on. We've got about a 50-foot balcony,
Wow.
and she walks right out on that balcony. And she stops and she leans on it and she looks at the city. Never gets tired of it.
Yeah.
Never.
People that say that, I don't think they've ever had it, so they don't realize
Right.
it. And you don't realize it until you lose it as well. So
Mhm.
once you've had it and then you lose it,
Yeah.
it really bums you out.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh God, remember that view that we had
Yeah.
a couple years ago? So it's yeah.
There's
And
something that tugs on your heartstrings.
Absolutely.
With that.
100%.
I don't get it, but
best views in the world.
It's
for sure.
very romantic.
It is.
And idyllic and idealistic.
Yeah.
Idealistic? Idealistic?
There it is.
Ideal, maybe just idyllic is right. Romantic is right.
hate to say anything because she's so well educated. It's like, yeah, I'm just not going to say anything because I'll pipe in and say something and she'll like, oh God, help him.
But a number of years ago, somebody did a study on the waterfront, what we call the Gold Coast of New Jersey, and kind of counted up how many homes or how many units there were on the entire Gold Coast, and did an analysis of how many AAA rated views there were in those properties, and AAA rated meaning just full views of New York. They may not be fully panoramic, but full direct views of New York. And it came out to be less than 7% of the inventory.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a very limited quantity. People don't realize. You're like, oh, waterfront views, that's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm down there for.
No.
But what people don't realize is that there aren't that many homes with really, really killer views of New York City down here.
From George Washington to
All the way down to
Liberty.
Street. Yeah. It's really hard to find. And because of the fact that it's so limited, you've got to pay for it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
So, I tell people when they come in, I tell them, the three biggest determining factors of price in this building, as it is with any waterfront community. First and foremost, it's the view of New York City. Second, it's the square footage of the home, and third, it's the floor that you're on. So as you go up the building, you're going to get a floor premium. So, but the view far, far outweighs and surpasses everything else. You could have, in our building, in this building, you have, for the 07 line, which is on the southeast corner of the building with the full views of New York. As you go up the floors, you're looking at close to a $300,000 floor premium just because of the views. So when you couple the floor premium and the view together, it gets incredibly expensive, incredibly quickly. So,
but when you're in it, you know why.
That's why, and there it is. I mean, people that have the means and the discretionary income to do so, that's the type of inventory they want.
Yeah.
It's in such limited quantity. It's so rare. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Cool place. I love this place.
All right. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for making time for us.
All right.
Yes.
My pleasure.
That was
Thanks
awesome.
again.